Okay, so basically, okay, so I'm just going to create a brand new survey. But have you guys ever just like use a survey template or anything like that?
I create some copy.
Okay,
a lot because the end of model surveys and feedback surveys has a lot of the same attributes.
Got it. Okay. Because the one thing that would be really useful is if there's a division for your school, which they may or may not be, I have no idea, you can email IC Commons and ask them, is it that person can make a group, like a Qualtrics group, and then whenever you share a survey with that group, anyone in the group can get it.
Oh yeah, we do have a group.
Groups.
We have a group for APH.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that we actually have a hard time getting that in such administration because you have to contact someone. You guys probably have someone who does it locally.
Yeah, I can't remember who did that for us. You might have received at some point also.
Set it up. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, this is, I guess, all the kind of standard stuff, but just for these, I'm gonna do this. And I'm just basically have you guys inserted images into stuff before?
Yes.
Okay,
so I think this is actually an image that's laid out, but
okay. Right. All right, so you could have just you actually have an image already.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I just did, it's a bit harder on Windows, but if you use like Command-Shift-4, you can take screenshots.
Yeah, I have a little widget on my desktop.
I use it into this.
It's not as elegant.
And you know that like there's a graphics library once you upload them. So then you could also share that with your group so people can access it whenever they want.
Oh, interesting. How do you do that?
I think when you go over there to library, then in general, anything in Qualtrics is kind of shareable. So you can have a library of questions or a library of graphics, a library of surveys.
Interesting.
Yeah, that didn't quite work. Okay, great. That's there. That's too big, but you know, that's probably okay for now. Let's call it like A, B, C, so it can be quick. D. Okay, so that's kind of great. So Qualtrics has two things, and Sam, at any point, feel free to chime in here. They have a scoring function, and that's one way you can kind of like grade things. I've had a bit of trouble messing around with that. The other kind of easy way to do it is to just kind of condition based on what someone responds. So Sam, I don't know if you have any thoughts, jump in about whether it makes sense to, what we're trying to do here is basically show how do you give feedback on a problem and whether that makes sense to using scoring or just an if statement based on like A, B, C, D or something else, like setting a variable, you know? But let's say, for example, that B is the correct one. What I would do is just create a brand new item that's basically just a message saying, yes, that's right. And you can put an image of a green check mark or something. And then I'll actually add display logic. So only display it when a condition is met. And select the in-page value because that means that non-display logic will only do when you like submit and go on to the next page. But this means that it'll actually happen in real time. So then I'll say, well, if the question Q1, the choice is B, is selected, then show this.
And will it also, so I guess, like if in addition afterwards we just want to see how everyone answered, it doesn't matter that we denoted it as correct or not because we could just see from the distribution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other thing is, you know, actually, if you want to give what's kind of nice here is targeted feedback. So if you say like, okay, actually, if they said A instead, so if instead they said A, then you would just say, A isn't right, but I can, you could say like, why did you think that? And then make this a text response question.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then you could actually have it after the submit the text. Actually, let's try and be fancy. Like, A isn't right, why do you think that? And then I'll make it a text entry. And then actually, once you submit it and go to the next page, then you give them an explanation. Well, actually, let me think. Here's something nice. Click here. Click here to see an explanation of why A is incorrect. So basically, this is kind of where it's happening a little bit. Where okay, so here's a option. I'm going to get rid of the other two options. So I'm basically turning this question into a button.
Oh, I've never seen that before. Okay.
So it's like click to see A explanation. And then you can actually just create an item saying, well, A is wrong because the standard deviation is not, I'm just making this up. Right? And then now the way you do this now is, again, you use that same display logic. So that's just like one kind of hackish way to sort of say, okay, if the choice is selected. And then you again do the in page. That's now it basically lets you function as a button. So that's kind of nice because you can like always let people get more stuff added on, So if we preview this now, yeah, let's consider that, whatever. And so now if they chose, as maybe I should have also conditioned that on whether they chose A or not. Yeah, so that's a mistake. But if you pretend that wasn't there, like, okay, they click C, they don't get anything now because they haven't said, no, C is wrong. They click B, yes, that's right. And now if they click A isn't right, why do you think that? They sort of say why. And then they can click here to see an explanation why A is incorrect. So that's kind of like some of the basic jiggling on of dynamics.
And just like logistically, if I start typing for A and then I switch to C, does that text just go away?
That's a good point. It does. Is it still there? Okay, so it does save your text.
So it's at least like while it's still on the screen?
I didn't even know that, but yeah, finally it does.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And one thing that Sam has done, this depends how, I get the impression talking to Dan, which is a really cool area, is how do you kind of get this package to show instructors? Like let the instructors see people's explanations, that kind of thing. That's something we're happy to sort of help you build out a bit because we did a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's great for everyone, So if you guys want to tell us what's useful to have.
Yeah. I do a lot of crunching of this stuff before class.
Yes.
So
okay,
that's certainly of interest to me.
Okay, yeah, well, that would be good.
But, yeah, maybe we should concentrate on that teaching part of it first.
Yeah, so that's an example. And, if you wanted, you can just, what I like about Qualtrics is it's just built really cleverly and then it's super modular. So, for example, I guess it's modular and logical, but like, no, that's wrong. You could actually just say, well, actually add display logic. And basically, if the answer to that question, if B correct is not selected,
oh great,
then
you can have right and wrong instead of having to have 4.
Exactly,
Cool.
Yeah.
So in terms of how it maps to the panel,
yes.
Sorry, my mind left to sort of like a fantasy scenario in which you could view the panel and see which students got which questions right and wrong.
Yes.
And Dan also sometimes likes to pair students depending on their responses for class discussion. We used to use, we haven't used it yet this semester, Learning Catalytics, which it pairs people in real time depending on their multiple choice answers. But he had mentioned briefly pairing people for class depending on their responses in the online module. I'm wondering if the panel would help us do something like that.
That's a really good idea. Because I think we're pretty much not going to use learning catalogs at all this year because it is too logistically complex to have everyone bring it. Because everyone has to bring their own device and all the stuff so they can all connect to this network.
It's a web response system, and Dan usually uses the clickers, which are lower cost, and they're sort of part of the ecosystem that we're used to.
So this we could just pre-assign it beforehand and put up a thing being this is your person for this class. Go talk to them.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
That would be really nice, actually.
Yeah, let me think about that in a second.
Yeah, and also no hurry. I know there's
no. This is great. This is a great question. So if I get your question right, it's basically how can we use the fact that we can look at students' data in a panel to pair students, for example, or in general to do something specialized for a student?
Yeah, and previous to that, can we look at the panel for a summary or quick reporting view, or should we continue to look within each survey for a summary or a quick reporting view?
That's a very good point. Have you guys seen this tiny.cc analytics demo? I'm not sure if we shared it with you. Okay. Sam, I don't know if you want to jump in and lend your thoughts on so basically it sounds like their use cases are they're going to have a bunch of these exercises for different questions. They're going to have the end of module quiz, which I've showed you before. And they're kind of wondering, okay, to get a sort of overall view of students, should they use something like your tiny.cc, use it with a spreadsheet? Or should they be trying to put everything into a panel? And then they could use that to do personalized stuff like send people emails with extra info, or there's a single page in the course that basically lists someone and the name of their partner or something. Like they could get a separate page in EdX that has a project, so they list it. Okay, here's your instructions for the coming class. Here's what you got right or wrong. Here's who you should go and chat with. Here's your output of your results. And they could get to that from their smartphone or something,
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of points, one of which is that panels don't really have a lot of sort of reporting, quick view, any of that stuff in themselves by default. But I think what Joseph is probably showing you is how we can pull data from a survey and sort of display it in a Google spreadsheet. And that can also be done with panel members. So we could just sort of export all of that data to a service like a Google spreadsheet. And within that, we could either manually or sort of randomly, just using some of the JavaScript that we use already, assign people to different partnerships based on answers. And it's pretty easy to display things relatively nicely inside a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah, Sam, do you want to pull up a demo of the or if you just want to chat me a link of the notes feature, the notes saving feature that you did already, because I think that shows how we can show people their data, and that's something where, for example, we could put their the name of their partner or something. If you want to pull that up, and maybe what I can show in the meantime is basically how the analytics demo works, or do you want to talk through that?
Sure. No, I can pull up a demo of the notes feature. We don't have a great sort of demo in an embedded context, but I can pull up a couple of survey links that can demonstrate it.
Okay, sure, that sounds great.
Sorry, what's the tiny for this?
Oh yeah, so it's tiny.cc /analytics demo. Yeah, and let me know once you have this stuff pulled up, Sam, and then you could just maybe jump in and explain.
Sure.
But so just to kick us off, basically, this is what Sam built. Basically, the kind of key thing here is that Qualtrics is really flexible in terms of there's an API that lets you pull data from any survey.
Okay, yeah.
And you have to request it, and we have some instructions on that. Just email IC support or whoever, and they'll give you API key. But basically, what that means is that you can basically pull that data using a script.
Yeah.
And now you might not want to, in terms of where you write that script and where to pull the data to, the solution Sam worked out is basically you get a Google spreadsheet, which is nice because it's just online all the time. And it has a special thing that lets you run scripts.
Yeah.
So Google App Scripts. And Sam, anytime you're ready, feel free to jump in. But and actually,
yeah. So I'm just going to paste into the chat, and this is a little bit tangential because it's going over to the sort of notes feature. But mhm.
Yeah, didn't we actually do one of these for Dan Levy's course?
We did, yeah.
I thought that one actually would be more relevant.
Yeah, so that should be. Yeah, sorry, give me a second to find that, and I can.
But basically, what it does is it takes your survey, and then you get that stuff in Qualtrics. Then it actually has the Google spreadsheet where this is just for a random demo. And I think we just copied and pasted the same thing and then used it for like module 3 or something. Yeah, so basically here's a spreadsheet. And what's nice is that you'll basically embed a script inside of this. So there's this new button which is on another spreadsheet. It's called Get Data. So you just click Get Qualtrics Data. What that does is it goes in and it pulls exactly what you get in the CSV file and it puts it in the first page of the spreadsheet.
And how hard is it to like make a particular spreadsheet link to a particular survey?
I think it's pretty straightforward. Cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so Sam basically, like, he wrote the script, which means that now actually, if you want to just see, so I'm going to go to Tools, Script Editor. Sorry, screen sharing. Actually, screen share the whole screen. Yeah.
And just to let you know that link that I just pasted into the chat is the spreadsheet that we created for one of the modules in the course.
Great. Great. So I'll put up. So I don't understand if you want to jump in and kind of explain a bit about how the system works. Just tell me what to pull up or what to point at.
Sure. So if you want to just look at the script editor window that you have open right now, it's really pretty straightforward. You just provide it with a URL that has the API token that you get and the survey ID and a format that you want to get the data back in. And in this case, I just pull all of the data as a JSON object and then just sort of parse that into a set of responses and build an array of all of the responses and then just write that straight into the Google spreadsheet.
And is the API token per account or per survey?
It's per account.
Okay.
Actually, right now you don't even have to get an API token because all this happens through my account. Exactly. And you set it up to run automatically, right? It runs every hour or something.
Yeah, you can set it at pretty much arbitrary intervals. I think right now it's set to update every other hour.
Every 2 hours, so just whoever's done it, it just pulls in there. Great. And so what's nice is that now that that's there, you can then use some spreadsheet functionality. Whereas this is just totally raw, just because it should all be in one place. But now, like, here's secondary. So this is just kind of like, actually, sorry, I think you pasted the one for Levy's course. Is that right side? It looks like it just has a couple of responses.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
I think that should be the correct one, but
okay. But basically, we can check it out later. But basically, this is like secondary page where you don't kind of like want all of that random junk. So you can then just say, okay, just show me like what they said on question 1. Mm-hmm. So then you basically just pull this out. And I think, Sam, I think there might be another one. If you want to just take a quick look for it.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Is the I only just recently started using some of the Google spreadsheet stuff. Is the array formula? Is that do you need to wrap everything in an array to get it to apply a formula as things come in? You mean like sort of like the equal sign and then point it somewhere? So when my experience has been with a Google spreadsheet updating from a form rather than updating from an API.
Okay, sure.
But when it updates from a form, it creates a new
spreadsheet
row for every new piece of data.
Yes.
So if you have a formula sitting in another column that you're applying to your data, you need to apply it to this
all the way down. Yeah,
definition.
That's right.
Is that the same for the API? Okay.
Exactly, yeah. And the easy way to do it might just be to say, okay, like this is going to be, so right now, equals, and then you go into here and you say like what you want, and you hit enter, and then you just copy and paste this all the way down, and you'll never get over 200 people, so that'll be good.
Oh, okay, that is.
So that is a bit different. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens in the form is that when the form inserts a new row, it
pushes it down.
It disrupts the column that you've applied something to.
Sure.
So
it should actually be a bit easier.
But this looks like
because this is exactly good enough, like going in and writing it by hand.
Yeah. Okay.
So then once you point there, you can basically have here's how in question 1, question 2, question 3, and then you can make some charts and so on. And again, these are all pointing to that old data. Mm-hmm. So anytime it gets updated, it maps over. But where I think this is nice is that all the benefits you get of sharing like Google Docs or Google Spreadsheets and being able to copy them, you can now use there. Mm. So basically, you could copy this and then use this for next week's.
Right. Or I wonder, fantasizing about bringing all the quiz results into a sort of master tracking book.
Yep, we could definitely do that.
We'll see.
Yeah, but exactly, you could do that. Yeah. And so, you haven't seen that file, have you, Sam?
I'm having a little bit of trouble finding it, but
okay. It might be moved around somewhere. It might be. I think there was something. Actually, let me see if this is it. Something else. Okay, we'll pull it up. But basically, I did it. Well, Sam did the basic instruction. I just tweaked it so that you could see like what people's responses were and then what kinds of explanations they were giving.
And so when it comes to like applying this to a new survey,
mm-hmm.
Is it like per each question type is the standard way of doing it? Do we have to like specify our surveys in a particular way to get it to pull it in correctly and all that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, Sam.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch the question.
Yeah, so my question was just like if we wanted to then make a new survey and apply this sheet to it, do we have to specify our surveys in some particular way, or like is there some tweak we have to do for each question to make sure that it gets pulled in correctly?
All data should be pulled in correctly in sort of the native Qualtrics format, just as long as you change the survey ID. So I think that should be the only thing that you need to change. Obviously, the sort of data crunching, whatever transformations you do might need to change, but...
So it's like coded to like treat all multiple choices a certain way and all text inputs a certain way and stuff like that?
I see what you mean. Unfortunately, Qualtrics doesn't really provide information about question type in the data export.
Uh-huh.
So you would sort of have to manually specify each question name.
If like maybe we have some question where you just select from a list, some question where you type in a number, some question where you have a free response, we'd have to be like for each of these questions, take the average of this, show the distribution of this, or something like that, right?
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
So for workflow, because every one of these practice questions is sort of a standalone thing,
mm-hmm.
If we were to try to make a massive spreadsheet that would keep track of the results of every practice question, so we would make a spreadsheet, import the script, load it in for something, and then copy that spreadsheet a bunch of different times, go
that definitely makes sense. It's definitely possible.
Or is there some easier way?
What do you think, Sam?
Sorry, I think the mic might have gotten covered, so I totally missed the last about half of that.
Well, oh yeah, sorry, I might put my hand on it. So basically, May was saying, so if right now, imagine every different question was a different Qualtrics survey, does that mean that we have to basically write a Google spreadsheet script for every single one of those and then pull them into a massive one, or is there some more efficient way of doing it?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure which would be most efficient, but you could also sort of pull all of the surveys into a single Google spreadsheet and then just do some basic matching based on user ID or something like that in the script, and then just sort of write everything and concatenate all of the responses to all of the different surveys.
Do you think that let's say you use one survey for anything that's big, like those end of month quizzes? Do you think you could use panels to grab all the individual little questions, Sam?
Oh yeah, I mean, you could absolutely do that as well. You could use a panel to capture the responses to each quiz and then get the panel information out of Qualtrics using Google Scripts, and you could just do that a single time.
Oh, okay.
That might be nice.
Yeah.
I think we're already struggling a bit with the preponderance of surveys. Dan is always asking me to help him locate where the survey is.
Yeah.
And I know you helped him with some new sorting
Yes.
functionality. But if we do individual surveys for every practice question, we'll be even more.
Exactly. And one thing I should say is there are ways of consolidating questions across surveys. Like every question on a single page could be in one survey.
Oh.
Yeah, that's definitely true, yeah.
Oh. How would we do that?
So basically, this, you could just like add right below, add another question.
Okay, they would have
So
to
you just
be.
copy it,
They would have to
exactly.
be sequential.
Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't be in separate blocks. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Okay. So maybe we could, if we think about it a little, build in a little.
Do that.
Say.
And right now, there's a panel in here for the class, right, Sam?
Yes, there is.
So basically, like, here's how you'd actually add stuff to the panel. So here's a trigger. So basically, here's how you write information to panels. So let's go to triggers, panel triggers. And so this is basically saying, here's the panel to use. I think I set it up. Yeah, I set up this one with API 209. And basically, it's like add additional fields. So the field is going to be, you can name it. Like it could be, I think the main thing actually that we found useful is be really systematic in your naming. Like you probably want a doc that like has a list of the names of all your questions.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, like chapter or module 1 P1, and then you just set its value equal to like, here's the question. Q1, like what are the answer? And then you basically want to say like whichever the selected choice. So whatever they said.
So we have to do this manually for each question we add?
You do, yes. If you wanted to go into the panel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think if there's a more efficient way to do it. I could be, actually, I don't know, I've never tried it. Sam, do you know if you copy a survey, if it preserves the panel triggers as well, or probably doesn't? I don't know.
I'm not entirely certain. I think that it does, actually, but yeah, I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
And that would be good, because then you could basically like go in and just modify the names of the things and what they're pointing at.
Sure.
So it would be definitely more work up front, but it would then save you having to work with the like Google spreadsheets and combine.
Right. Yeah, seems like it would be worth it.
Yeah, and so if we named if our choices were written well, that would also make this a lot easier. So A, B, C, and D is not going to help us unless we consult a key, and even reject the null hypothesis. Do not reject the null hypothesis isn't necessarily going to help us without a key, unless we structure this in some way that has some relationship between the question name and the choice names, and we give a little more detail on the choice names.
Is there a way along the lines of what you did in which you turned the 4-part multiple choice into binary correct or not correct?
Yeah.
Is there a way to do it like with this?
That's a good point. I think
it would be like every question could just say like right or wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you think it's like, then I think it's important to be able to see like how each person responded.
I think it will depend on whether he's capturing a common misperception with a different choice or not. So sometimes there's a...
But if we want to do like that level of stuff, then we could just like dive into a particular quiz and look at the distribution. right? Because this is just for aggregate stuff.
Yes.
We could do that.
I think there are ways I can think of just scoring it, and Sam, feel free to jump in. One is you can always just create a new variable, like you know the embedded data fields are.
A little bit.
But basically, if you I'll show it to you in a second. But basically, here's the way I think might be easiest: is basically using scoring. So I have to mess around with this because actually I haven't used this that much. But basically, it would be so I'm trying if you know exactly how to set this, but basically we tell it, okay, score one of these as correct. Okay, yeah. So now this is it. So basically, I went into advanced options, scoring, and then you can just go and say, okay, that's correct, and you get 1 point for that. You could also have multiple right ones. And then, you can grade text responses, but that's probably not going to work.
Right.
But yeah, you can go through and score, and then once that's done, Qualtrics basically creates a new variable, and you can write that into the panel.
Got it. I'm just like correct or not correct.
Exactly.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. And so now, if you, just so you know, I found under like scoring, and if you just go to like Google Qualtrics scoring functions, it would show you. But under advanced options, if you were to add, say, like now I want a panel trigger, you would then, okay, so save triggers next time I didn't do that. But you could basically add this additional field, which is module 1 problem 1 correct, and now it's actually going to be. You happen to know, Sam, whether they how they identify scoring?
I'm not totally certain.
But we can look at.
Yeah.
So Qualtrics scoring, they would basically say, I think it's an embedded data field, and they would tell you like how to, like just what to type in.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would probably be like, if I'm remembering right, it would be like embedded data field, and it would be something like score 1 or something like that, which is not right now, but you can modify it.
So, this is sort of a little bit of a messy question, but with this course that I've noticed that a lot of times something takes a lot of effort up front, but if we build it right, we can use it again.
Yes.
So if we did this in a smart way, then there might be some way to update it from semester to semester.
Yeah.
So dealing with time in Qualtrics is another challenge we've run into.
Okay.
Where we make new surveys every year.
Okay.
Instead of using the the filters to sort of check what people have said, because sometimes Stan changes things from year to year slightly. So sort of thinking about figuring out ways to interact with a big group of surveys and pull it somewhere in a way where some skeleton of that is usable the next year.
Yes.
Just food for thought. I don't know if
no,
you need to
that's a
answer
good point.
now, but
yeah, no, that's definitely a great point. I think that's where your group, which actually, do you know who I'd be curious who the person is. Like, if you could ask, who's your division manager for Qualtrics?
Yeah.
Because if they could add me to your group, then I can sort of play around with this stuff with you guys. But basically, what I would do would be to actually add the survey to a library. So let me see, where's that? Okay, so this is where we go to the library function. And so, so someone added me to this group. Actually, I have no idea who that was, but that's a test group. But basically, there's libraries for surveys, there's libraries for blocks, for questions, for graphics, for files, and messages. So messages are actually automatic emails you send to students.
Oh, interesting.
So actually, one thing I should mention, just a side point, is that, and Sam, do you know if Qualtrics has any limits on how much you can do this? Because I know, is Qualtrics just like MailChimp? But basically, once you add your students to the panel, you can email them using Qualtrics. So you can actually draft your message of like, welcome to week 1, blah, blah, send it, and then next year you could just use that message again with modification. So this is what I would do it. So I think what you want to do would be, I'm going to go to the survey library, and there's some way to add, so click here to copy a survey to this library. And now I'm going to add the, where's the survey? Yeah, so basically, the one we just made up, which was called, okay, I don't remember what that survey was called. But basically, let's say you would just, practice problem 1. If you click practice problem 1, you give it categories like problems. And then you can just copy it. And so now you have a library, and that's what you would use for next year. You would just basically go and say, I want to view it. You can mess around with it, and then you would just copy it, and then you'd have a whole library of surveys. You just copy them, and you send to the course again the next year.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're sort of doing that right now, but without the library.
Without the library, exactly. So, and then that also you add a group, so if Teddy isn't around next year, then someone else can do it.
That's very nice. Okay, library. This is going to be good, I think. I'm sorry, I am interested in the note to students. I'm sorry,
sure.
I got this.
No. I mean, I think quickly demo to you. Sam, you sent a link to that, right?
Yeah, I sent a link to the first survey, and I'll pull up the link to the second survey as well.
Yeah, and this is just to kind of illustrate something that Sam set up. If you want to, I'll pop it up, Sam, if you want to just explain what it basically does.
Yeah, so basically what it does is we use Qualtrics authenticators, which allow you to associate somebody as a member of a panel when they open a survey. It's sort of like a login. And we sort of automatically do that and associate people based on their user ID. And we can then sort of pull information about them and also store information about them. So for this initial note survey, we sort of make sure that we know somebody is a member of a panel, and we then just allow them to type notes, like in response to a reflection question. And then once they submit the survey, that information is stored inside the panel, and we can then sort of, in an additional survey, display those notes to the students and allow them to edit the notes. And then once they submit that survey, the notes are saved again in the updated form.
So just imagine this survey would actually be embedded like right below a video. So, you know, in terms of reworking the course, I'm not sure what your time is like, but we can definitely just do it quickly if you is. You can imagine just rework this whole page as being a one long Qualtrics survey, a lot of small Qualtrics surveys. And then what I would do is that note's going to be inserted like right underneath that video. So someone's actually just going to be like, imagine this is a little box inside of it.
Right.
They're typing their notes, and then when they're done, they just click, OK, submit. And then that's great, they got their notes. And then there's a separate page, probably like, you know, like, let's say it's is it a new unit? Yeah, let's say it's a new unit. Notes on module 3. And then that's just like you add an HTML component. It's basically a Qualtrics survey. This is just going to be a Qualtrics survey. And that's where the second link starts from. So basically now, I think the notes didn't quite transfer for this one, right, Sam?
We are still working on a couple of kinks.
Okay.
That's odd, though. That should have worked, I thought.
It might be because I opened it from 2 different places, but basically their notes would show up there. And then if you wanted to add to notes, you'd add a bunch, and then you submit, and it's just like a quick. So then the idea would be at any point you could submit notes below a video or whatever, and then you just say, okay, I give my notes on module 3. There's actually a page here that
Yeah.
And the reason that's kind of, well, you can say it's useful pedagogically, but the more general point is now you have the ability to take any piece of Also shows students like here's a little dashboard of your progress. Here's what your scores were on the first three units. Here's your explanations. Here's XYZ, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
You could also include personalized feedback like, oh, you got this and that wrong, so you should review this.
Yeah.
And anything you can show in a survey here, you can also send in an email to the class.
Yeah. One of the really great opportunity here, but also a challenge. So this beautiful opportunity to collect more granular data from everything that students are doing in the platform, whatever it may be, and to sort of call on that data later, which is amazing and was not possible to our knowledge before. But also a challenge of tracking that data and being able to ping up what's really important before class. Primarily for Dan, I like the idea of giving students a progress report, but I think
that's
reporting to
priority.
Dan is maybe priority one. And so sort of figuring out if it all goes through the whole dashboard. Ways to get them to interact with the charts in a way that sort of, but it just seems like an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, I think based on what you're saying, I think, and this is the nice thing what the Google spreadsheet solution Sam developed, is that all this random stuff, you could look at that or anything that you guys So I'm just going to meet you 1 second, okay? Just jump back in whenever.
is.
Yeah, really. Okay, I should run. Sorry.
Oh, no, no, fuck all.
Bye.
All right, Sweetie.
Good luck
See
in
you.
section.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, Sam. Sorry, I think I might have gotten muted by accident there.
Yeah, no worries though.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're wrapping up. I can fill you in. But okay. So just to be clear, me. So you're pretty happy with how things are set up now. So that looks fine. So we don't necessarily need to re-implement any of that stuff, or you know, no need to take that step unless it's like a new section.
Yeah.
But if we are doing a demo of something, or maybe even just the experiments for like next week, by Monday is the best time to have it review, right?
That would be great.
Great. Sure.
What are the experiments you're thinking about for next week?
Basically, I'm like adding questions in front of the videos that ask people to reflect.
Okay.
So like asking questions like I think I might have sent a demo of it. It should be in here somewhere. But
oh yeah. Okay.
like.
So I have some actually.
Oh yeah,
questions
sure.
about the demo.
Sam, is there a place where the questions were?
It should be under JJW testing, under, I believe, Unit 1.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Yeah, well, you can dig it up, but basically it'll look like
I think there's an unpublished one in Studio.
So I'm looking at Studio. Great. Okay. Yeah, but sorry, you said you had some comments on the.
ANOVA perhaps.
Okay,
there it
good.
is, yeah. Oh yes, okay. I have some questions about this.
Yes, okay.
So if you go back up to the okay. So one question was about the 1 to 10.
Yes.
Are the fields here numerical fields?
Yeah, they could be numerical or text. People can like put whatever they want.
Okay.
But it might be helpful if like it was actually clear.
So I guess I wouldn't think that any of these 3 questions would have numerical answers, so I was confused about whether you wanted people to sort of try to find a numerical answer
to that, yeah.
or whether that's not part of what the response
No, that just wasn't clear.
Okay.
But what I should have said more clearly was rate on a scale from 1 to 10 how much you thought about this question while you're watching the video. But that should actually be like front and center here. Yeah, which is not totally clear.
So how much you thought about key new ideas, how much you thought about how do the concepts relate to what I already know, and how much you thought about this information.
But it's kind of a strange thing to do, so it may not be obvious to people.
Yeah, I almost wonder if the text response to these questions will be more difficult to analyze. But
oh yeah, that would be great. I just thought people wouldn't want to answer it. But yeah, I mean, we can definitely leave it as text. That would be better. I just think in case people are lazy, then they can always give a numerical judgment instead of like I'm imagining if someone doesn't want to have to type out answers, they could always say, well, instead of saying, okay, here are the key new ideas, here's how it relates to what I already know, they could just say, let's give them 10, here's how much I thought about it.
Yeah,
but given how
I see that.
But given how confusing it is, that might be true. Because it's not a natural thing to do.
Or maybe make the prompt say, on a scale of 1 to 10,
be
how much
very
did you think about the key new ideas in this video, or something like that. So the other question that I had was, we sort of frame this as so it's kind of a response to the framing up here, maybe a slight massaging of this.
Sure.
So we framed the modules in the problem set as an opportunity to sort of get all on the same page before class so that we can go deeper in class. So in a way, it's already almost like a partial growth framing.
Gotcha, okay.
And I can share that language with you.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
So I think that they're already primed to sort of realize that at least the videos and the practice problems are meant to increase their understanding rather than measure their understanding.
Yes.
The end of module quiz is where I've sensed a little more concern about how they're being evaluated.
Got it. Okay, that's
but just to kind of situate you in, like, I guess the growth versus
that's great to know.
Fixed or
because I wouldn't know that. Yeah, that's great.
And let's see. Yeah, so I think, or I hope that they realize that the practice problems are designed to help them learn, not to measure their understanding.
Yes, I got you.
So sort of massaging that.
Okay, so for example, the one danger, the one risk of how it's phrased now is that it might imply that
they were being used to evaluate, which they were not at all.
But yeah, so just now I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so I'm.
That's fine. Okay, I can edit that.
The problem set. Intro text, so you can see how they're framed in the problem set.
Great, that's fantastic.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Sam.
Sure.
My goodness, I'm amazed at what's